The dupes are duping, guys. Today I have a couple of new dupes that are duping fragrances that, in my opinion, have already been duped enough, but you know what? Sometimes they do offer a slight different take on the DNA that might be preferable to some people, so let's go over it. So first up, we have Tahira by Riffs. This is definitely inspired by my favorite designer release of 2025, La Bomba by Carolina Herrera. Now, when it comes to the La Bomba DNA, there are a lot of dupes out there. The two that I own are Fiora Oshino by Paris Corner, which smells similar, but in my opinion is a slightly lighter, fresher take on the DNA. If you're someone who wants like a more tame version of La Bomba, that is going to be Fiora Oshino. And then the other one that I have that I think is the best one that I've smelled thus far is Intensely Seductive by Oudwear. And now we have Tahira. You know, I'd really like to talk to the brands and ask them, why? Why did you think we needed another one? And what do you think this is offering that is different enough to warrant someone adding on yet another DNA of a fragrance that they may already have? So the difference between this and the original, I would say that it's a little bit softer, almost feels a little bit creamier. Aside from that, pretty much the same as most of them. It's not like the Fiora Oshino, which clearly takes on a greener take, like a more tamed down version. I would say it's similar, closer to Intensely Seductive, that is just trying to make a fragrance that smells very close to the original La Bomba. That's it. I would say the lasting power in comparison to Intensely Seductive and La Bomba is a little bit less long lasting, but it's still a long lasting, very similar La Bomba clone. So whether or not you feel you need this just depends on if you already have a La Bomba alternative in your collection, or if you are good with the original La Bomba, or if you don't like the DNA, then it doesn't even matter. Yeah, I think it's a disappointing release to me, a disappointing new release to me, because I just don't think this was needed at all. Like, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of perfumes out there that are expensive niche perfumes that people would love to have access to that type of DNA. Please go dupe one of those. We don't need 5 bajillion different inspired by dupes of the same fragrance. Why are we doing that? But whatever. So Tahira is nice, and I would have higher praise for it if it was the first one to dupe La Bomba. But since it's not, what do you want me to say, Riffs? What do you want me to say? So in terms of the packaging, I hate it. It reminds me of something out of Naruto, which I do love that show, but I don't need to have the like village symbols on my perfume bottles personally. To me, when I think of like some of the tacky Middle Eastern perfume bottles, this is up there with me. It has the 1 or 2 fakey rhinestones and just the random design that just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm sure some people would love this, but for me, it's a no across the board. So that one I'm disappointed by. Next up, let's talk about a new clone. This one is inspired by Dolce & Gabbana's My Devotion Intense. I think it's funny that it's actually called My Devotion, Eau de Parfum. Hilarious. Anyways, so this, I would say, is a little bit different. So actually, before I say that, my favorite clone for My Devotion, which is the only one that I have smelled, the only one that I own, is Second Song by Lattafa. I'm very curious about like the days or the timeline for when these brands make these fragrances. Is it like both you and Lattafa both had the idea to dupe My Devotion Intense and Lattafa just beat you to it and got it out first? 'Cause I know it takes a while to make a perfume. Or was it you heard that they were making it and then you make one and then it comes out? I don't know. I don't know the timeline of when this came out, but I knew that it's like newer right now, so who knows? But anyways, the difference between the original Second Song by Lattafa, which is inspired by My Devotion Intense, and the My Devotion Intense, to me, is that Lattafa's is sweeter, fruitier, way longer lasting, and projects a lot more, which I really enjoy. In the original My Devotion Intense, I feel like I get more of the nutty, praline type of accords in comparison to Second Song. So I find Second Song to be preferable and more wearable for me. My Devotion by Mast Perfume, this one to me is trying to focus more on the nuttiness in the My Devotion Intense fragrance. It's not the exact same as the original My Devotion Intense. In fact, I think that sometimes the nuttiness is just it's a little bit too much. You know how sometimes almond can smell a little bit funky? I haven't even looked at the notes, so I'm not even sure if almond is on here. All I know is that it smells like it's got a nuttiness in it that's a little bit too much, that smells a little bit funky. It's not as bad as like the funkiness in Phantasmagory by Louis Vuitton. but it's there, and I don't smell it in the original Devotion. So in my mind, the way that I compare it is, okay, so Second Song is giving me a fruitier, longer lasting version of My Devotion Intense. This is giving me a fragrance that is trying to go more in the nutty direction, but the nuttiness is too much and it's getting a little bit funky. So it's not one that I would personally grab. I'm gonna stick with Second Song. If that nuttiness was, if the funkiness was not there, then I would say it's a closer 1-to-1 of the original My Devotion Intense by Dolce & Gabbana. But the funkiness ruins it to me. So unfortunately, I would say it loses the dupe battle, in my opinion. But I'm also very sensitive to those funky smells. Like my husband oftentimes can't pick it up. So it might just be that I can really detect funk in fragrance and maybe it doesn't bother other people. So if you are someone who's like, I don't like Second Song, but I love My Devotion Intense and I feel like I would like a nuttier version, then that might be perfect for you, right up your alley. But for me, it's going to be a pass. So let me know what you guys think about these two. If you're planning on picking any of them up. For me, they're both a disappointment. I just think our dupe brands need to do better if we're gonna be duping dupes, which again is ridiculous to me. But if you're gonna dupe a dupe, please don't miss, okay? Please do it better. But anyways, guys, I will see you back tomorrow for our next episode.